Ah, yes, my childhood home. Let me welcome you to North Canton, Ohio. These are the 5 acres that turned me into the person I am today. Like many kids that grew up in the 80s, most of my days outside of school were spent outside. As classic lines go, we didn't come back until the porch light turned on. We drank from the hose when we were thirsty. We rode bicycles with no helmets while jumping increasingly sketchy ramps, and we interacted with nature. But this photo is too recent. Let's go back. Let's see, 2023, 2013, 2003. Ah, 1994, 30 years ago. Picture this. You're 10 years old, it's summertime, and you wake up to birds chirping and the sunshine coming in through the windows. While you're eating your breakfast Fruit Loops, your next door neighbor buddy comes running in. Your mom doesn't have plans for you today, so you're able to take off running. There's a path through these pine trees right here. You have to stay in the shade for a moment and scout the farmer field. If the farmer sees you, he usually comes over and yells at your parents if he catches you running through the field. These trees that you're standing in have a familiar musty smell from the brown pine needles underfoot. No sight of the farmer, so you take off running. You have to cross to the far right side of the field, which is over a ridge line. Once you're over that ridge line, you're safe. He usually plants beans, so you're wading through knee-tall plants. You could be laughing, you could be asking questions, or you could be silent, minus the wind blowing through the beans. After about a quarter of a mile, you reach the raging headwaters of a minuscule stream. It's only about 3 feet wide and less than a foot deep, but these clear waters hold all the answers for a 10-year-old boy. The routine was usually much the same. At the start at these headwaters, we'd find an old Pepsi bottle or a beer bottle, anything that would float, throw it in the water, and spend the day following it downstream. You'd be amazed at what you'd learn in a day. We'd watch the bottle as it tumbled down rocky white waters. We'd build dams and watch as the water collected, how eddies would swirl. We would lift rocks to find crawdads and salamanders, and maybe they'd be the captains of our boats. And deeper pools may have small fish. As we would wade the cold pools on the hottest summer days, we could feel the cold water hit the back of our knees. That's as deep as we would dare go. We could hear the swoosh and the sound of our legs cutting through the water. One particular spot was full of wild onions, intoxicating your nose. Today, however, much like many areas we knew in our youth, time and human development have altered the landscape. Housing and apartment developments have increased the impermeable landscapes that now dump storm waters into these streams, resulting in increased pollution, and a dam meant to control downstream flooding has been erected. What was once a natural, meandering stream full of wildlife, representing nature at its best, has now been carved with a bulldozer, filled with dirt, and void of life. This muddy stream is anything but a play area. Here in Texas, I found a local example of an often cited sustainability issue that occurs with development. Increased impermeable surfaces and their adverse interaction with local watersheds. Objects such as large roofing areas, parking lots, and roads create surfaces that force water to flow and rapidly move, as opposed to allowing it to absorb to the ground's full potential before collecting in natural storage areas. Impermeable surfaces cause multiple problems for the local biome. First, channeling the water from where it fell reduces groundwater absorption, which can be detrimental in areas that often experience drought. This groundwater can be at the surface level, which allows for microbial, plant, and animal life to thrive, or the water can channel deeper into aquifers that take millennia to fill, but are being rapidly depleted to meet rising human consumption. Second, impermeable surfaces often contaminate stormwater due to increased human activity in the area. Oil, bacteria, pesticides, fertilizers, chemicals, and trash get transported with the water to adjacent, often cleaner waterways. This photo shows how water is routed from the road directly into local stream. Additionally, these dumpsters collect water, introduce pollutants such as food, chemicals, and microplastics, then route the water also directly into the creek bed. This photo shows freshly painted road markings. Within hours of these markings being painted, rainfall covered this area, most likely introducing overspray paint and VOCs into the creek bed. While out of the scope of this project, impermeable surfaces also have the problems of creating heat islands and minimizing local vegetation. both of which cause increasing damage to drought-prone areas where water would benefit the most. But here at Fort Calabasas, they've introduced a technique to mitigate storm water runoff and its often cited damage. Runoff surfaces feed creeks, which then feed into slow-moving waterways that maintain local vegetation and wildlife and are purposely devoid of human interaction. These slow-moving waterways have been created using a multi-pronged approach. First, the creek beds have been created with a minimal slope which holds the water rather than speeds it away. Second, these areas are not mowed and/or sprayed with weeds or pesticide chemicals. This allows a natural biota of local tall plants to grow in a pattern intertwined with natural thick mosses and bud channels, all of which create slow, winding, filtered water. These waterways collect trash and filter pollutants before water is channeled into follow-on tributaries. Additionally, these slow-moving waterways have the added benefits of replenishing groundwater and creating local biomes that aquatic wildlife, land-based wildlife, and birds benefit from. I witnessed several birds collecting mud for their nests. I saw small fish and crawdads interacting and looking for food, and while not seen directly, I found raccoon paw prints in the muddy riverbanks.
Now what you see here is a great example of an impermeable surface that is directing stormwater runoff.
So we all have those
The
core
water will
memories that ground us,
collect in the
that
surrounding
make us who
parking
we
lots.
are.